Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business Live. Coming up this evening ahead of the mid-year budget review, former Finance Minister Kotoka is questioning government debt figures. We also have a conversation with two astute economists on Ghana's economic performance and possible ways to recovery amid the pandemic. We have the details plus more coming up after this break. So those were our local headlines, home and abroad, as I should say, headline stories for the day. To our main story tonight, former Finance Minister Kotoka says Ghana's debt stock is hitting the 70% sustainability threshold following what he describes as excessive borrowing by the current government. Ahead of the mid-year review and supplementary budget presentation on Thursday, Kotoka is asking the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to come clean on Ghana's debt figures, questioning why the energy sector and the banking sector cleanup debts have been excluded from the debt numbers. I spoke to him a moment ago. Should the energy sector debt and then also the banking sector bailouts be included in our debt stock?
The emphatic answer is yes. And that is how we have always done it. And so when the methodology was changed in 2017, you are right in saying that I was pointing it out, that we have changed the methodology. And if you have changed the methodology, tell Parliament, don't hide it in the footnotes, don't hide it in an appendix. Go to Parliament and tell the nation that we have changed the methodology. Now, 2020, it is no longer Kotoka who is saying it, because it sounded in 2017, 2018 like sour grapes, like you had lost power, right? And you know, what is it that you are doing? I've heard many people say that, but I believe that I had a responsibility, because my whole career is fiscal, tax expenditure as an accountant. So I felt I had a duty, and I was writing and warning. I like Ghanaians to put Kotoka aside and look at the IMF. The IMF has gone back now and revised our deficit figures. We said we did 3.5, IMF said no, you did 5.8. We said we did 4.5, IMF said no, you did 7. We said we did 4.7, IMF said no, you did, you know, yes. Now we excluded it and we said our debt was 55, right? Even in 2017, IMF has revised that to 57. And then the below 60s, the IMF has revised all of them. I'm saying not just 2020 figures, but the IMF has gone back to 2017 and revised the deficit and revised the debt. It's no longer Kotoka.
But you also agree that we are a sovereign state. We have our own figures coming from the BOG. We have our own figures from the Finance Ministry. Why do you seem to be a fan of the IMF figures when we have our own domestic way of, giving our figures? Why would you want to play by that of the IMF when we have?
You see, the first answer, you are a member of the IMF. And what we call Article 4, right, is the Articles of Association. Articles of Association. So you are joining an association. And you are signing. And Article 4 says that the IMF can come to your country, whether you have a program or you don't have a program. And you are obliged to tell them the truth about your numbers. Otherwise, the consequence is that the financial markets we were just talking about, sovereign borrowing and the rest, they look to the IMF. Why do they look to the IMF? They look to the IMF because what I am saying does not apply to Ghana. What I am saying, the IMF can go to, is obliged under Article 4 to go to the US, go to Germany, go to other advanced countries, and they will have to open their books. And so if you say that you have a methodology and the IMF gives you that dispensation, right, they'll go to the board and they'll tell them, they'll ask you, so would you allow the US to also do it that way? Would you allow Nigeria to do it that way? Yes, and if you excluded it, is it being excluded for Cote d'Ivoire, for Nigeria, for the African countries, Kenya? And then how do you compare Ghana? You know, in other words, there's a standard. right? There's a standard. So it's like saying my shirt size is 32. You have a right as a tailor to change what is everybody knows internationally as 32. But your client will come and you will sew and you say, I have my own measurement. As members of the IMF, we are obliged to disclose. And I'm saying that what we have been saying, you are not going to agree with the IMF. So come and tell us. The nation. It's about standards.
So where you sit, having said all that you've said, should we add the energy sector debt? Should we add the banking sector cost? The cleanup?
It's not just...
What is the percentage? Are we nearing the 70% threshold that of debt sustainability? And what does that mean for Ghana?
All estimates,
and where do you think we are?
All estimates state that, I don't want to speculate, but all estimates by the rating agencies, if you don't want me to mention IMF, the World Bank and others, are stating that our debt will be 70% or more at the end of the year. And we are now at about 63, 65. I take issue with the 59 or whatever which was, because if you are at the end of 63, sorry, 2019, you are 63, and then you are telling me you are now at 59, it means that even within COVID, you are telling me you pay down the debt to reduce it to 59, then why are we going to borrow for COVID? So that we do proper management of our debt.
So are you saying that with our current status as a middle income status, we will not get to benefit from the debt suspension service initiative, that's the DSSI?
If they do it, it's a dispensation. But I'm saying, remember what I said, prepare for the future. You may be giving today because COVID is so severe. But if you continue, you know, without putting money buffers aside and whatever, a time will come, you won't get it.
But do you advise that we follow in DSSI?
Do we have an option?
Is this something we should do?
I'm saying, do we have an option?
I'm asking you.
Well, we look to government whether they want to do it or not.
Still on the budget, economist and Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Garcia, is calling on government to prioritize creativity and invest in internet services in order to give businesses and all sectors some leverage in the economy. He made this call when I spoke to him earlier on the marketplace.
It's also very clear that we have been hard hit by revenue shortfall from petroleum, and the implication is that a lot of pipeline of projects engaged by ABFA should be affected in 2020. Of course, these are the main areas that I think we can focus on for now, even though we can go specifically to sectors where productivity has gone down, joblessness has actually gotten into the picture as a result of the COVID-19. So we need to be looking at an innovative way of engaging in our expenditure. It's not all the expenditure that are linked to COVID-19. Some of the expenditures will have to be realigned. That is about the innovation I'm talking about. There should be innovation in terms of revenue generation, and there should be priority in terms of financing innovative ideas and innovative engagement in our productive activities. We have seen a lot of that. In fact, if there is any lesson that we learned during this short period of COVID-19, is that we have the ability to be creative, we have the ability to innovate. In fact, we have the ability to add on. So that is what our focus should be right now as we continue to deal with this COVID-19, especially as it relates to economic management of our country. For example, if you look at the educational sector, we were not prepared for online teaching. And for that matter, many institutions from the lower level to the high level in the past did not have the time or the money to invest in online infrastructure. It's an area that we need to engage seriously. If you look at data consumption, it's an area that we need to do something about data consumption that will allow for greater use of ICT to infiltrate into all the sectors of the economy. I think that is what the government should be doing.
All right,
and this should not just be a policy statement, but it should be something that should be very practical, because we are going to use ICT a lot in a lot of things that we do going forward.
Okay, great, gentlemen.
The cost of data is something that we need to look at so that we can allow many more people to engage in the use of ICT to do whatever they want to do whether in health delivery, whether in pharmaceutical, etc.
On his part, economist Professor Geoffrey believes investments in agriculture should be the focus while sustaining other sectors of the economy.
Clear is that no country is going to have more resources now. So the question is, how do you achieve more with less? How do you ensure greater efficiency and greater value for money? So, and you have all the sectors that have been impacted, and they are all competing for limited resources, particularly because we have not been able to contain the pandemic or come out with a vaccine. Health spending still has to be catered for in terms of saving lives. But then again, we have to balance that with saving livelihood also, and also cushion the citizens in terms of the adverse distributional effects from COVID-19, job losses. I heard the finance minister talking about some unemployment benefit and all of that. But I think if you look at it, the question is, where do we start from?
Right.
And what will be the mainstay of our economy? So if we say, let agriculture lead, that is different from saying agriculture becoming the mainstay of our economy. So you are looking at the low-hanging fruits in terms of the sectors that can deliver immediate results to pushing.
And which are the low-hanging fruits for you?
And that is where perhaps agriculture is key. If you look at the effect of COVID-19 in terms of price development, it's totally within our control. Even the disruption to the global supply chain and the fact that we are not getting that imported item to supplement local production, we've seen the effect in terms of price development. So I'm expecting that we will strike a good balance between meeting the expenditure drive of health and balance that with agriculture and link that to agribusiness. And then you can also link that to manufacturing. Why am I saying so? If you look at Ghana, we are surrounded by neighbors who have food challenges and food deficit. Togo, Burkina Faso, as we speak right now, 45 million Nigerians are heading into food and nutrition crisis. That is huge investment for us. We have also signed up onto the African Continental Free Trade. And if you look at the food import or the food deficit in Africa, it's over $35 billion. That's a huge market for us. So, and given that we have that vast expanse of land along the Volta link and all of that, we could actually scale up in terms of our investment in agriculture and agribusiness to ensure that we are able to take advantage of that food deficit. And this would also be helpful. That is not to suggest that agriculture will become the mainstay of our economy. So to some extent, I'm expecting that the minister will come out with some kind of stimulus arrangement to cushion ordinary Ghanaians. That expectation is very high, and they have to work towards meeting that in terms of mitigating the adverse distributional effect.
Away from the mid-year budget review, the local retail feud lingers. Unfortunately, it looks like there is no end in sight because the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is again demanding the closure of shops belonging to illegal foreign traders at Circle in Accra. GUTA is alleging that about 90% of foreigners in the retail market did not meet the requirements to operate in Ghana. Let's hear from the president of GUTA, Dr. Geoffrey.
We've been briefed by the task force that was set by the president himself. That's the Committee on Foreign Trade, Retail Trade. And that they told us, because when we saw the place open, we inquired from them. They say, yes, they have gone there after the lockdown to continue their exercise. Don't forget that it was the president himself that set up this committee after meeting with us at Okenshi. And then having said that the law is on our side, and then the fact that the law is on our side does not give us any legitimacy also to close the shops. And so we should allow the task force or the committee to do their works. After that, we respected the government or the president's directives and allowed this committee to be working. So initially, we have closed, we know we have our own timetable to close the shops. So we have closed Circle, we have closed other places. So the task force said, okay, bring your documents, and then when you verify, we verify that you are satisfied with your documentation, then we open your shop for you. And so they will mount a table, ask for documentation, nobody came till we went for the lockdown. After the lockdown, because we have to extend the exercise to other sectors, like Opera Square, like Swame, like Abusukai, They wanted to finish the work at Circle and then proceed to these sectors. And that's where they thought it twice to open the shops for them so that they will bring out their documents freely. And they did that for 3 days. After the third day, having scrutinized the documents and all that, they were told to close the shops. We were reliably informed that over 95% of the documents that were scrutinized did not meet the expectation of the task force, and that they were made to close the shops, for which they massed up vagabonds and all that to resist the committee that have been set by the president himself, disrespecting these directives. And so they put these recalcitrant foreigners, put the laws into their hands and resisted the efforts of the task force to close the shops after they have been found not to have gotten the requisite documents.
Based on what you're telling us, it clearly means these guys can't do what they're doing alone. They could have been supported by some figures. Does Guta have any idea the kind of people that are behind, the authorities that could be behind this situation?
Oh, no. If even there are some people behind them, they couldn't go against the directives of the president. That's what we should know. Because the task force itself is included in the police administration rep. We have the reps from migration, immigration, and all that. And so it's not just an ordinary task force. So they know what they are doing, except that this situation occurred at the time that the demolition of the Nigerian High Commission around the same time, where they have actually also tied this issue to that, as if Nigerians are being harassed and all that. So they just strategically withdrew when these people resisted. We're talking over 600 shops that have been opened, between 600 and 700 illegally. And this was not opened by the Committee on Foreign Trade. That's the misinformation that is going out there, that the shops have been open for us. And then they go on to the extent of teasing the locals and laughing at them, which is very bad. I called the NUTAC president and complained that why is it that your people are going around teasing the locals? Do you know the implications? Do you know the provocation that you are bringing to bear? And so this is what is going on. These people are flouting the laws and laughing at the locals at the same time. This never happened in any jurisdiction.
In our news tonight, Managing Director of the Consolidated Bank Ghana, Daniel Ado, has charged corporate institutions to implement key corporate social responsibility activities that aims at bringing the economy back to life. He was speaking to Joy Business after CBG handed over a renovated district police station to the Airport District Police in Accra.
According to the Managing Director of the Consolidated Bank Ghana, the effect of the coronavirus pandemic cannot be minimized if institutions pay lip service to the environments they operate in. Apart from the Police Administrative Office, the company has also earmarked some 1 million cedis as a total support package to both government and private institutions leading the fight against COVID-19. Daniel Ado believes that no business entity can be exempt from the negative impact of the COVID.
I don't think that there's any institution in this country that has not been affected by COVID. So yes, we have very much been affected by COVID. But the overriding objective for us is that we need to be able to put back into the society that gives us an operating environment. So corporate social responsibility is not just about having a very nice policy statement. It is about actually putting those statements into action. And so we've chosen some very key thematic areas. Obviously the Ghana Police Service and security is one of them. There are other areas such as health, and in particular during this time of COVID, health is very, very critical. And that's why we've made some donations and some contributions towards the COVID Alleviation Fund, towards the Noguchi Memorial Institute, and other health agencies, the Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health. So those are little contributions towards ensuring that this country is safe and that we are also mitigating and combating the effects of the pandemic.
He has also been speaking about considerations made by the bank in embarking on such CSR investments.
Very much aware that the police service is a very integral part of the safety of this country. A strong police service has so many beneficial effects for us as a people. We can go about our work, our home life with safety, but with peace, knowing that there's somebody who's looking out for us. And so we consider it very important as CBG to partner with the police service, to continue to stand with them and to assist them to do the things that are important for them to discharge this very important obligation.
The National Information Technology Agency, NITA, says it is making sure all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the country are properly connected to the internet to ensure a smooth flow of services over a fiber cable. Speaking in a virtual forum under the theme Internet and E-Government Solution During a Pandemic, the acting director of NITA, Richard Oshri Ofosu, says the country must get its internet infrastructure right.
So obviously, NITA is responsible for regulating the ICT space. And one of our mandates is to make sure that the MDAs, MMDAs are connected and they work. So we also run the National Data Center. So vis-a-vis response to the strategy question, we are making sure that the connectivity that we provide to the MDAs, MMDAs are up and running. We've done a lot of rectification work to make sure that the fiber happens. One of the things that we are working on also is to make sure that we look at some of these issues, because everything that we're going to do, you're right, we are not in normal times. In this virtual world, you need the connectivity to work. Everything that we do with all the government initiatives and even on social media and some of these things that we do on the social front requires connectivity. In what we do here as NITA, we are ensuring that connectivity is up. We are also making sure that government, and we are discussing this, that we consolidate the fiber assets that government have. You know, Ghana, unlike most other jurisdictions, is not connected, right? We have patches of connectivity. This one comes and do their thing, this one comes and do theirs.
Up next is the Joy Business Quick Take, and the conversation is on the privatization of the Kotoka International Airport.
As a result of governments wanting to limit the adverse impact of the virus on its citizens, we've been compelled to close down airports.
Is the aviation sector in Ghana broke?
With COVID, yes, everybody's broke. The aviation sector is broke. Yes, we are broke as every other aspect of the economy is affected. If you're looking at what we're confronted with, or what we were confronted with before COVID, in terms of the investment that's been made, in the service of that investment, we're not really in the best position to be able to pay off those loans quickly and continue to expand other sectors.
And that's our program this evening. Log on to myjoyonline.com/business, and those are the stories on our site now. Guta demands immediate closure of illegal foreign trade. You can go there and have a read. I am Sandra Esinam. I'm going to join Daryl Kwao at 7 p.m. for the Primetime Business News.